Greetings, my name is Professor Bubbles, and welcome to class. What I have for you guys today is my third Battlefield Chopper session. If you missed the last couple of sessions and want to get caught up, you can click here to enter my Scout Helicopter tutorial playlist. As promised, today we'll be talking about countermeasures and dogfights. There are three countermeasures for the attack and Scout helicopters: IR flares, fire extinguisher, and ECM jammer. The IR flares and the ECM jammer have similar qualities. They both are designed to misdirect incoming air-to-air heat seekers, as well as ground-to-air heat seekers, passive radar missiles, and active radar missiles. They also block enemy lock-ons for an amount of time. As stated in my first chopper tutorial, I think the ECM jammer can give you a huge advantage when flying. While the jammer increases the probability that a missile will hit you by about 10% when compared to flares, it will buy you critical time to get away. This is because the ECM jammer continues to block lock-ons for about 10 seconds, compared to this to IR flares, which will give you a varying amount between 2 to 5 seconds. Another advantage is that ECM jammer has a 13-second cooldown, and IR flares have a 15-second cooldown. Paired with stealth coding, ECM jammer makes your chopper much less susceptible to repeated hits and allows time to get away. But despite this, IR flares can still be incredibly useful. You'll just have to be more careful. The extinguisher will instantly remove critical statuses, like rotor offline, which decreases your main rotor blade acceleration by 90%. Using extinguisher can give you a short-term advantage, but does not stop your chopper from multiple or repeated hits, and can lead to short lives. That covers understanding what each countermeasure does. Let's move on to usage of IR flares and ECM jammer. Knowing when to use your countermeasures is essential to having a successful flight. To understand this, you need to know the three statuses of a lock-on. The first is when someone initiates a lock-on. The second, when someone has finished their lock-on. The third and final stage is when a missile is incoming. You should almost never release your countermeasures before a missile is fired. The only exception to this is when you know both the next missile to hit you will kill you, and that you will be able to get away from their next lock-on using countermeasures. When someone initiates a lock-on, you're going to be faced with a decision. Do you seek out and destroy your enemy, or do you seek cover? This is a complicated decision and largely depends on the situation, but allow me to try to simplify it. If it is obvious that the lock-on is coming from an enemy air vehicle, you should seek and destroy. If it is unclear where the lock-on is coming from, you should seek cover. There are tons of exceptions to this, and I will cover them in my next session. If you watch my tutorials up to this point and practice the maneuvers demonstrated, then congratulations. It is now time to begin your reign of terror. Some game modes are better for scout helicopters than others, and you need to know what maps you can fly on. This is a list of all the obliteration and carrier assault maps, which have the scout helicopters on them. Once in a game and spawned in the chopper, you should scan the air for enemy choppers. If you spot one, switch to your heat seekers and fire only one missile. After firing your first missile, move in closer in preparation for using your primary gun. At this point, it is likely that the enemy pilot will have spotted you. Be prepared to deploy countermeasures. If they have deployed ECM jammer, use your primary gun to shoot them a little bit while waiting for your second missile. As soon as you can, lock on and fire your second missile and immediately switch to your primary. The time that a chopper is in rotor offline is when a chopper is most vulnerable. Use this time to cause as much damage as you can. This is the basic strategy and simplest example of a dogfight. Often there are going to be more decisions, strategies, and maneuvers needed to be successful. However, that's all the time I have for this session, so come back next class where we discuss Scout Helicopter HUD and Dogfighting Part 2.